In this disturbing episode of the Yore Town Podcast, we're going to dive deep into the twisted mind of Ed Gein, the quiet man from rural Wisconsin whose crime shocked the nation and inspired some horror's most, infamous villains. Known as the Butcher of Plainfield, Gein's story is one of grave robbery, madness, and murder that forever changed the American psyche. But behind the headlines lies a tale of deep psychological torment, a town forever scarred, and a truth more horrifying than fiction. Listener discretion is advised. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Yore Town Podcast, where the quietest streets sometimes hold the darkest secrets. And I'm Matt, aka, that means also known as, Beard Laws. And unfortunately, it's just me tonight. And no. There's not going to be another true crime episode that features myself. Meg, super busy, and decided, hey, she's going to stay an extra night at the campsite and hang out with the kids. I had to get back to work and appointments and all that good stuff. So I have to go solo. I hate to do it. We've been busy with softball and life. So bear with me. And if you're going to go ahead and turn this off after, what are we in, a minute and a half, I do apologize. Thank you for hanging out with us for a minute and a half. Meg will be back next week. I promise you. And if you don't believe me, come back and watch it. With that being said, we're going to head right into the frigid, isolated fields of Plainfield, Wisconsin, a town so small it barely made the map until November 16th, 1957. That was the day that the world discovered Ed. Some called him the Master or the Mad Butcher. Others simply called him a monster, but no one, not even the locals, suspected what truly went on behind his farmhouse door. Let's take a walk through the snow, down a winding rural road, and into the chilling, true story of the Butcher of Plainfield. If you're not excited, you're not pumped up for this episode by now, then clearly left because Meg was there. But if you're still here and you're excited to hang out with me, let's do this. Because Edward Theodore Gein was born on August 27, 1906 in La Crosse County, Wisconsin. From the outside, he seemed forgettable, quiet, a little strange, but like most things in Plainfield, you had to dig beneath the surface to find the rot. His father, George, was a violent alcoholic. His mother, Augusta, Augusta was something else entirely. A strict into the fantasy, I guess, if that's what you... Let's go with religious woman. Augusta ruled the household with iron will and fire and brimstone lectures. She hated sex, hated women except herself, and believed all other women were instruments of sin. She called them Jezebels, and she made sure her two boys, Henry and Ed, that they knew it. She ran the family like a cult, and Ed, he was the favorite disciple. And by the time Ed reached adulthood, his world had already shrunk to almost nothing. His father passed away. Then his brother Henry, under mysterious circumstances, during a brush fire in 1944. Authorities, they ruled it an accident. But neighbors, they whispered. Neighbors, they knew better. And then Augusta died in 1945. And that is when everything changed. No one left to control him. Ed sealed up the rooms to his mother's once used room and preserved it like a shrine. He moved into the kitchen and lived alone. No electricity, no running water, just the crackle of radio, the stink of decay, and the twisted echo of Augusta's sermons in his head. People in town thought he was odd, but harmless. He babysat local kids, told strange jokes. He laughed to himself. But they never suspected what he was actually hiding. On November 16th, 1957, hardware store owner Bernice Warden vanished from her shop in Plainfield. The last customer listed in the store sales book? Ed. Deputies, they went to his farmhouse later that day. What they found inside would haunt them for the rest of their lives. Bernice's decapitated body was hanging upside down in a shed like a deer. She'd been gutted. Her head, it was in a burlap sack. But, unfortunately, that was just the beginning. Investigators searched the farmhouse and quickly realized they weren't in a house. They were in a nightmare. They found some interesting things. I don't know if interesting is even the right word. They found human skulls that were turned into bowls. They found a belt made from nipple skin, lampshades made from faces, a shoebox containing 9, and perhaps most disturbingly, a woman's suit Ed had crafted from the skins of his victims. He'd been digging up graves, skinning corpses, and wearing their bodies to become, well, Augusta, his mother. This wasn't just murder. It was madness. Ed confessed to killing 2 women, Bernice Warden and Mary Hogan, a tavern owner who went missing in 1954. But police, they believed, well, there were more. Ed was declared illegally insane and sent to Central State Hospital, later transferred over to Mendota Mental Health Institute. He never stood trial in the traditional sense. Not at first. 1968, after years of psychiatric evaluation, he was found fit to stand trial for Bernice Warden's murder. He was found guilty, but still legally insane. So he went right back to the hospital, where he remained until his death in 1984. He died a quiet, uneventful death, unlike the horror that he left behind. This case, it gripped the nation. And Hollywood, well, they came calling. His crimes inspired some of cinema's most terrifying characters that you probably, potentially, have heard of. Norman Bates in Psycho, Buffalo Bill, Silence of the Lambs, Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But Ed wasn't a chainsaw-wielding brute. He was worse because he was real. He was soft-spoken, almost childlike. And behind that dull smile was unspeakable darkness. Plainfield, Wisconsin has never been the same. The farmhouse was burned down in 1958 under another suspicious circumstance. Many believe a local did it, just to kind of end the legend. But the scars, fortunately, they remained. We like to think evil looks like a monster, but sometimes it looks like the quiet man next door. Sometimes the worst horror doesn't come from fiction. It comes from Yore. Thanks, everybody, for taking some time out of your busy day to listen to this episode of the Yore Town Podcast. Meg, I missed you. This isn't nearly as fun without you. But this was an interesting topic and disturbing, yes, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. You know, this is another true crime one, something that I thought was relevant. It was a conversation that we had at a softball field. And I said, you know what? I'd love to do a quick episode, but I'm not going to have Meg, so it's not going to be as long as some of the other episodes. So I do apologize for that. But again, we're going to be back next week. Longer episodes. Meg will be back and everything in the world. Well, it's going to be exactly like it is now, but hopefully a little bit better. But that's all we got. We'll be back next week. Take care, everyone.